Hi, my name is Hayden and I'm going to be going over the essentials of camping today. I brought along my friend Justin Gillen, who's never gone camping a day in his life.
Never.
So we're going to start with the first and most important part of camping, the pack. So there's external frames packs and internal frame packs. I personally like to use an external frame pack because it has all of these really cool metal attachments or plastic attachments which you can use to attach lanterns and water bottles onto. The second most important thing when you go camping is a sleeping bag, or you can use a pile of clothes, a sleeping bag, and a thermarest, or a sleeping mat. Now there's a bunch of different ways that you can vary this up. You can use a winter sleeping bag when it's cold out, you can use a summer sleeping bag when it's hot out, and then there's also different thermarests. There's inflatable thermarests, there's just roll-up thermarests.
Can you do it without a thermarest?
You can, but I don't recommend it because it does reduce a lot of stress on your back from roots and anything that would cause any major issues.
Do they make warmer sleeping bags for the winter?
Yes, they do make warmer sleeping bags for the winter. They're a lot bigger. I've used sleeping bags that go up to negative 15 degrees.
Wow.
You can also use fleece liners, which just make it a bit more comfortable. And that's just like another sleeping bag that you use inside of your sleeping bag.
Okay.
I also brought my tent. This is a 2-man tent.
Is it heavy?
Yeah.
Well, that's light.
You can use a tent. Tent sizes vary from single person all the way up to 10-person tents. They're really useful. You can also use a hammock if you wanted to. I've done hammock camping. It's a lot of fun. You pretty much still need the same stuff aside from a tent. You just bring a hammock. It's a lot more lightweight. It's a lot more compact.
I love hammocks. They have them in hotels and stuff every once in a while.
Yeah. All right. I also brought my thermal tarp, which you can use when it's colder out, and you just lay that underneath your sleeping bag and your thermarest, and that radiates heat up. So if it's cold out, the heat from your body will be radiated off of that tarp, and it'll warm up the inside of your tent. Highly recommended, really useful. I also brought along some stuff sacks. Now stuff sacks come in a variety of sizes.
You put stuff in that?
Yeah, you can put stuff in here. And they're really useful. You can see they're super lightweight. You can make them super compact.
Now, what's their purpose?
So if you were going camping for a really long time, if you brought along a bunch of like clothes or anything, they're super useful.
Do they keep everything dry? Is that what you're telling me?
They do make waterproof stuff sacks. I actually left my waterproof stuff sack at home, which you can use when you go, like if you go out paddling or if it rains. I forgot to bring my pack cover, but that's also extremely useful. If you're going camping and it rains, you just put that right on top of your pack. But yeah.
That's awesome.
So, water. Water's really important. It's one of the 3 important things that you need in life: food, water, shelter. So we already covered shelter. And there's a variety of different water containers. So this is my platypus. It holds up to 3 liters of water. They're super useful. That's the hose that you use. So if you were going backpacking, you'd slip that inside your pack and you could just use the hose to drink water out of.
So they don't have water fountains when you go camping?
No, they do not have water fountains when you go
Wow.
camping. I also brought an Nalgene bottle. These are also super useful. That is a liter of water if it was full, which you can also slip into the side of your pack or you can slip them inside. I do recommend if you are going camping to bring a lot of water. But say you are stranded out in the woods and you don't have water but you find a source of water, I recommend bringing a water pump or a water filter. This is a Katahdin water pump. They're super cool. So what it does is the inlet, so the water that you were drinking would be, there's a hose that gets attached to here, and then the hose gets attached to here, and then you can pump it if you'd like.
That's satisfying.
Yeah, it's super cool. And so there's a hose right here,
It's
which
really
comes with a bunch of
satisfying.
different filters and everything. It has a weight. Or you can use iodine tabs, which taste really gross. I do not recommend using
Why
iodine
don't you
tabs.
just go to Walmart and buy like a 30 of plastic water bottles?
That produces a lot of weight, and of course you have to carry in what you carry out. And carry out
So
what
that's
you
a lot
carry
to
in.
carry out.
Yeah, so that just adds to waste.
I get it. Okay.
Also with food and for water, say you woke up in the morning and you wanted to have a cup of coffee. This is a Jetboil. Jetboils are super duper cool. They're a water filter system, water heating system. So what you would do is you would take the stove right here, you take this, and then what you would do is you would twist on a fuel can, and then you would fill this up with water, and then the water would heat up. And the really cool thing about this one is that when it gets really hot, this changes to orange, and then you can tell that your water is
Wow.
boiling. So you wouldn't have to open it up and look inside or
That's
anything.
interesting. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, how much water do you say you should have for a camp, like an overnight camping
If you're
trip?
if you're going on an overnight, I would recommend up to 5 liters of water. I personally drink a lot of water, especially when I'm camping. So I highly recommend bringing even more water if you're going camping.
Absolutely.
And then for fire, which of course when you go camping you need fire, right?
Yeah.
It's nice to have a fire. Of course there's a fire ban in New York State
Yeah.
right now. But these are my fire starters right here. So these are a bunch of wood shavings.
Don't use gasoline.
I mean, you can, but I prefer the satisfying feeling of building your own fire using like
Some
tinder,
kindling.
kindling, and then larger fuel.
Interesting. I've heard of that. I've seen it on like Man vs. Wild.
Yeah, exactly. So those are wood shavings, which I highly recommend. You can
Wow.
just shave a piece of wood if you were out camping. Or you can use one of these, which is a pine cone, which has been coated in paraffin wax. And those are also extremely useful. And then one of my favorite things to bring when I camp is dryer lint.
I don't want to touch that.
Okay. But it's highly useful, it's extremely flammable. You can just go to your dryer and you can empty out the lint trap and just use that. I also brought a box of matches and a lighter. You never know. It depends on if you run out of fuel, then you have a thing of matches.
Oh, that's interesting.
I also brought along my first aid kit. It's a survival kit. You can see on the back all the different stuff that you would see inside if you want to read some of that stuff off.
Yeah, an emergency blanket, a fire striker. You have a whistle. What do you need a whistle for?
If you get lost in the woods and people need to find you.
Wow. I don't get lost.
If you did.
Duct tape. Wow, I feel like I've really learned a lot today about camping. I know the essentials now, so why don't we do it?
Let's do it.
Let's go camp.
All right, let's go.
We're going camping.
Let's go.